All right, guys, let's get right into this. So in the last video, I covered how the 9 to 5 is sort of breaking your spirit and inhibiting your ability to grow. So I wanted to follow it up with this video. In this video, we're going to talk about how to actually break free from the 9 to 5. Because guys, we already know that the 9 to 5 is draining us. It's killing our spirit. We feel it every damn day when we walk through the door of the office, and oftentimes when you walk back in the door getting home. You're zapped. I'm sure you felt it or feel it because I know I sure as hell did for longer than I care to remember. We talked in the last video, guys, about the Sunday scaries, sort of that existential dread or that feeling of dread that generally comes on Sunday for most people, but frankly, for some people it comes on Saturday or even Friday. You know, the minute we clock out, we're already dreading Monday. And as we talked about, that's no way to go through life. You feel this pain, this dread when you are sitting in traffic every morning, every afternoon, looking at the same faces, the same cars, the same BS day over day. And you most especially feel it when you are too tired to train, too tired to read, too tired to build anything outside of the office, and frankly, you're even too tired to think. You're just too damn tired. And the real trap isn't your job per se, guys. It's the slow drain of energy, belief, and any sort of passion or purpose in your life. You're just going through the motions. So the question becomes this: how do you actually get out? Without fantasy, without some MLM scam. MLM, guys, is multi-level marketing. Without having to learn crypto, because who the hell understands crypto? And without some social media guru bullshit and nonsense. You look, I spent 2+ decades in the 9 to 5 grind. I worked my way up to a VP position. I said that in the last video. And at that point, I decided enough was enough and I needed to escape. So if you're like me and you're still feeling that mental malaise, this sort of sense of apathy and this lack of meaning and sort of purpose, you're just drifting. You're just going through the motions. Well, listen. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 7 steps of what actually works to exit the 9 to 5 meat grinder. All right, guys, let's go. Number 1 here. So first thing we need to do before we do anything is what I will call an energy audit. So we don't need a new job quite yet. We may not need a new job. We may just sort of drift out of the one you're at, but we don't do anything yet. The first thing you guys need to do is get some mental clarity. You need to get some focus here. You need to get your mind right. So what we need to do, again, step 1, is track your week for 7 days. And I need you to be vigilant about this, guys. Write stuff down, put it in a PowerPoint, put it in a journal. Don't really care. But where does your time actually go? So let's give a quick sort of, run through on this. All right. So let's say it's 8 to 9 hours in the office. Let's just call it 45 hours. It's called another hour each day for commuting. So let's call it 45. Let's call that 50 hours. Let's call it 8 hours of sleeping per day. So there's 56. So we're at 106 out of 168 hours, guys. Now, the rest of that time is where you really need to audit. How much time are you spending scrolling? Look at your fucking phone. It's going to tell you. For most of you, it's probably far more than you need to be doing and far more than you think you're doing. Here's one, guys. How much of your time is spent complaining? You know, and it's a bad look, guys. If you are doing that, stop it immediately. I know I sort of did that, whether it was to myself or sometimes to others. Again, it's sort of crabs in the bucket. It's weak behavior and no one gives a shit anyways. Stop complaining. And then again, do this. Audit needs to be thorough and complete. Write down everything you do in the time it takes, and then what do you have left over? Because here's the point. So many people say they're too busy. We already know we're tired. We say you're too busy, but what the hell does that mean? Again, we're talking, you get out of work and yes, you're tired. Again, we talked about it in the last video. I understand. But then you sit down and do 2, 3, 4, 5 hours of sort of passive consumption every single night. TV, scrolling, video games, porn, whatever it is the fuck you do other than what you should be doing. All right, guys, track this. Even if it's, like I said, even if it's watching Pornhub, write that shit down. All right, guys. So just here we go. 4 hours per night, say, on each weeknight that, maybe 6 to 10, 7 to 11. Let's just go with 4 hours, 5 nights. That's 20 more hours right there. 20 more hours of doing pretty much nothing. That's a part-time business right there, guys. It's probably more work than you put in at your actual job if you're being honest with yourself. So first and foremost, guys, freedom starts with reclaiming your time, but you have to know what you're doing with your time. We don't want to sort of quit impulsively and sort of burn the boats. Remember, guys, and I talked about this in previous videos and in some other posts I put, it's a concept called via negativa, which is Latin. Basically, you get better by removing things. So remove the BS, the scrolling, the video games, just the wasted time, guys. Get rid of that and you will grow simply because of it. You'll have more energy. You're not just, your mind isn't just fucking vegging out. All right, guys, number 2 here. So we need to stack skills that create leverage. So guys, you hear this, passion. I'm going to follow my passion of this. This is sort of overrated. But I do want you to have passions. But for now, let's sort of pull the brakes on passion. Let's figure out value, because value is how you get paid. Also creates the leverage, as I just talked about. So ask yourself this: what skill can I build? Or more importantly, what skills do you already have that somebody will pay for? When we solve people's problems, that has value, and value equals money. So let's, for example, you're in sales. Well, there's a lot you can do. There's a myriad of things you can do online with sales. Well, copywriting, again, if that's your thing, it wouldn't be my thing. Video editing. Are you good with tech? Can you video edit? Can you make, that type of thing for people? Are you interested in that? Maybe coding, if you like computers, consulting, coaching, whatever it is, fitness, sort of affiliate deals. Guys, I won't get into every single avenue for you to make money outside of the office, but take 10 minutes and, look online. There is plenty. Sites such as Fiverr and Upwork offer all kinds of sort of consulting and sort of gig jobs, tons of them. Look on there. Again, I don't need you to do all these skills. Focus on 1 or 2. And as I said, ideally enhance the skills that you already have. If you're a tradesman, well, if you're maybe working with computers or trades, do something with that. But if you're in this sort of office setting, what do you have there? Do you understand sales? Do you understand marketing? If you understand those 2 things, the internet is perfect for you. There's plenty. All right. Again, sales, marketing, equal income. Do you know how to write? That's what I did. I like writing. So that's what I chose to do, writing and creating. That's going to take more time, guys. Understand that. Tech skills, communication skills, as I talked about, video editing, those type things that are in this sort of digital economy, and there's always a demand for. So we're not looking to find ourselves, the journey of self-discovery. We're not going there, guys. That's for the fairer sex. We need to make ourselves valuable. And how to gain any trust, you have to provide value. Oftentimes, guys, we're going to have to give a lot of value, and we're going to have to give it away for free at first. That's what you see a lot of people's posts are, and then they lead sort of funnel down into maybe they have a subscription, whatever they want you to buy. But you got to gain trust, and you have to do that by building authority and authenticity. So that's going to have to be done as well. All right, guys, step 3 here. Build proof of concept while you're employed. So I understand many of you, I still had responsibilities, but I didn't have the wife, the kids, the house, the mortgage, car payments, school loans, all this crap. But this is where most people sort of fall apart. So they fantasize about quitting, and I know I did it. Sat in my office, stared out the window, stared at, YouTube videos. Oh, I'd love to quit. I'd love to quit, but you never really test anything. You don't get sort of a point of reference, or as I said here, proof of concept. Well, like I said, start with one person. Do some video editing for one person, one sort of freelance project, one consulting, whatever it is. Just start very small. And see what worked and what didn't. Double down on what works and then throw away what didn't. Because here's the truth, guys. Real world proof is what you need, and that gives you confidence. Competence, as I always say, leads to confidence. So if you can competently do something, it's going to give you more confidence, and it's not false bravado and talk. So let's say, for example, you figure a way out to make $1,000 a month. I'm not going to tell you what that is in a year because I think you can figure out that that's 12 grand. Nothing to leave a job or to retire on, but it's a start. We want to get to a point where our side hustle or side gig sort of is at least on par with what you are making at your regular job or close. And then there becomes a point, that sort of tipping point, you can sort of make the leap. But you have to accumulate the data and see what you can do. Because data, empirical data helps you make rational, real world decisions. All right, guys, remember, don't burn the boats. I know you hear Tony Robbins and all these guys, to take the island, burn the boats. Maybe if you're a single guy and you got some savings or, you don't have as many sort of responsibilities, but I'm not here telling you if you're a guy with family, children, debt, don't burn the fucking boats, guys. Put the brakes on. Let's move out with a plan. All right, guys, on to number 4 here. Kill the BS expenses. Freedom requires you have to have a level of margin. So it's one of the biggest things of why most people don't do it. They're absolutely afraid to make this leap, which is understandable. But freedom isn't just about income. It's about reduced sort of dependency. Reduce your fucking debt. You guys know this. A lot of you guys I'm probably speaking to are probably in a mountain of debt. Completely understand. You have to chip away at it. Start small. The small wins build some confidence. Pay off something small and keep working your way up. Cut down on the BS, expenditures, subscriptions. Do you really need YouTube, Hulu, fucking Netflix? I don't know what else. Do you really need all those? Car payments. Guys, you're going to have to take a look in the mirror, married, unmarried. If you're leasing 2 cars to the tune of, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000 a month plus insurance and maintenance, you got to cut back. You might not be able to drive the BMW or the Mercedes. You might have to get the Kia or the Hyundai. You want out. These are the things you're going to have to do. We got to tighten the belt, guys. And then sort of lifestyle things. Do you go drinking? How many times a week? Are you spending it on, whatever, superfluous stuff? You guys know what that is. Do you need to sort of, go on those vacations? When you drop, if you got a family, you're dropping, I don't know, 5 to sometimes 10K on a vacation. If you really want out and your partner, God, I hate that word, your wife, your spouse, whoever it is on your team, they're going to understand this stuff. And if they don't, guys, that's another video in itself. So, and this is the truth. The average person will upgrade their sort of lifestyle for upgrading their freedom. So in the last video, I talked about this, and excuse me for 1 second here. Most of the time when people get these raises, say it's a 5, 10%, even 15% promotion, they go into 10, 20, 25% more expenses and debt. They actually go backwards, and this has been proven time and again. We don't want to do that. So let's say you do get a 10% raise. Keep your spending exactly the same, if not less, and then take that raise to pay down some of your debt. Let's, again, just making it easy, guys. Let's say you can find between your car payments, maybe a home refi, paying down those school loans, getting rid of some of those credit card loans. Let's say you cut out $800 in a month. All right, so that's $9,600 a year. That's huge, guys. And it's going to be more because if we throw in compound interest, that's what's killing many of you as well. You're getting killed by compound interest. Heard a line 100 years ago. If you don't understand compounding, you're going to be doomed by it because it works for you and against you. I can assure you on the positive side, I can also sort of validate that. So guys, all right, so we're on to number 5 here. We need to set a timeline. Guys, we can't have vagaries and, next year or someday. Those things are, someday is the most fucking dangerous word in the English language because someday never happens. Someday keeps you stuck. Someday is the fool's errand, guys. Trust me. I've been there. I said I would do it, here. Pick a date. And I'm going to tell you, sort of in sort of going with Parkinson's law here, give yourself shorter than you think, because you're going to try and get it done in that time frame. If you give yourself, 10 years from now, well, one, guys, that's not reality. You're going to give up long before that. I'm not trying to dissuade you. I'm just telling you the reality. Give yourself a hard out. All right, so let's say, 6 months of skill acquisition. We work, we build our skills, we test these things. Okay, 12 months now, we've got some side income that maybe gets to 50% of our salary, 30% of your salary. But now we can at least get some leverage. We have an idea of what we can do here. Because they said, just say you're doing, you're making 50% of your salary, but you're only doing it in, half the time. Okay, you have to sort of, push that out into what could I be doing if I put all my effort into what is currently a side hustle? Think about that, guys. And then maybe 18 months is a decision point. Guys, for all of you, the timeline is going to vary. It depends on what responsibilities and sort of debts you have. It's just to be the fact of it. And, but the point here is make a date. Write that shit down and stick to it. You have to put numbers on it, guys. You have to have systems. You have to have processes. And then most importantly, you have to take action and execute. Again, as I said, without a date, you're just going to drift. You have to have hard outs, if you want to call them dates, and then hold yourself accountable. With a date, you will act. I know this. When I had my epiphany, I knew that January 3rd of I guess it would be last year, I was gone. Typed up the fucking, resignation letter, and that was that, guys. I made my decision and I acted. All right, guys. Number 6 here, change your environment. All right, so when you're in the 9 to 5, don't tell anybody that you're going to leave. And I mean, don't tell fucking anybody. Maybe outside your wife or maybe your best friend. Even that, I'm kind of opposed to. If you're in a marriage, you probably need to tell your wife or husband. But you're stuck around people surrounding it and defending it because they're crabs in a bucket. Because if you escape, it's going to even make them staying. It's going to shine the light even more brightly on them than what they're not doing. This is the crabs in the bucket. When anybody tries to get out, they're going to pull you back in. You think about crabs in the bucket. It's very easy to picture. Don't tell anybody. These people are sheep. They're they don't want to make the sacrifices. They don't want to do what you're doing. So when you tell them, they're going to poison your mind, guys. They're going to be energy vampires. Don't tell them anyways, and get away from these people. Obviously, you have to work with them, but as much as you can, separate from these people. You've got to get it. These people will kill your fucking exit plan. I fucking promise you. Stay away from these people. On the flip side of that, get in proximity to sort of builders, people that already have done it. I spent money on masterminds. I'm going to one here in a couple months in Bali. I went to one in Marbella, Spain last year. There's, online classes. There's, classes at your community center, online courses, networking events. Social media, guys, has tons of avenues to connect with like-minded people that are on the same path. Again, what I'm sort of trying to build here. Get around those people. I can tell you, I went to, again, I use that Marbella as a sort of a reference point last year. I met 10 guys there. There was no negativity. All the guys were supportive of each other. I'd never been around anything like that in my life. It was weird to not be around that constant negativity and just sort of, again, the energy vampire. Stay the fuck away from. But also to avoid, guys, don't look for sort of the hype bros, the guys that are just talking the big game, just feeding you BS, the snake oil salesman. And then, sort of the other one would be sort of the manifestation people. I don't have anything against manifestation, but you're going to have to take action before you get to that. Vet your gurus heavily, guys. And that includes me, Don't just take what people say at face value. Check into them. Because there are so many of these, self-proclaimed gurus, coaches, mentors, whatever you want to call these people. And many of them fall, very, very much short of hitting the mark. I think, again, turn on your YouTube or Instagram feed, you'll see these guys littering the feed. We want real people who built something real, sort of did what you're trying to do, pulled the plug and left the 9 to 5. Talk to somebody who did it. I'm sure you know somebody outside of me, somebody who took the risk. And guys, it is a risk. I understand that. But what we're talking about through all these steps is to mitigate that risk. And somebody who survived it, somebody who got out and is far better for it. Again, that proximity to these people normalizes your courage. Where, the same people trying to pull you back in, when you're around these sort of positive people that are encouraging you, they're going to show you that it's not only probable, it's very, very possible that you can get out. All right, guys, the last one here is number 7. Guys, maybe I should have started with this, but accept that fear is part of the deal. I was scared shitless when I handed my resignation in, and that night it came all too real. I was like, okay, I did it. I was making 6 figures. I had a company car. I had an expense account, profit sharing. I had all kinds of benefits, health insurance. Things were pretty good, but I just wasn't happy. I mean, I was miserable, but you're still afraid. Again, there's no comfortable exit. There's not going to be a perfect time. You are never, ever going to be 100%. But you got to make the decision, guys. You got to act in face of that fear. Because, if you're waiting there to feel sort of safe, you're just going to die where you are. I don't mean to be so morbid, but that's the fact of the matter. So you've got 2 choices here, guys. You can risk of failing or the certainty of stagnation. Doesn't matter, guys, whether you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s like me. It's not too late. It is still very possible. You have a lot of life to live. Don't say it's too late. Don't get stuck with the sunken cost fallacy. The difference, guys, is your willingness, your ability to fight through that fear, as I said, and then you have to couple that with massive action. You have to stop the talking. You've got to start doing. Guys, I didn't leave because it was easy. I was in a pretty good situation that allowed me to do so, but I put myself in that situation. I knew I wanted to get out. Did I do everything perfect? No. Do I still have days where I sort of question myself? Of course I do. But I know I'm far happier today than I was 1 year ago. I guess it's been about a year since I quit. I left because staying put was worse. And that's where you get to this point, guys. And this is sort of anything, and it's a great sales principle. When the pain of staying where you're at becomes worse than the fear of taking action, that's when you're going to move, guys. That's going to be the tipping point or sort of the epiphany you need to realize. I had an epiphany. We can talk more about that in another video. But I had a point where I was like, I am out. And then I acted. No more talking. No more fucking daydreaming. I did it. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Do me a favor. Like the video, comment. And I said, I want to know what you guys think on this stuff, where you're at in sort of this journey and any questions you have. And then lastly, guys, subscribe. That's going to help me get the message out to more guys that are sort of in your boat or, where I was, and help them, show them there's a path out of this. So again, if this hits you guys, and you're feeling that discontentment or dissatisfaction, just start small. Take those steps ahead. Just do one little thing. Maybe it's limit your social media use. Cut back from 3 hours a day. Cut back to an hour and a half. That is a small, actionable step. Remember, we're not quitting tomorrow. If you want to do that, I guess go ahead, but don't blame it on me. Just, like I said, I'm trying to give you steps here. But on the flip side, guys, let's not drift for another 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and then look back and say, oh, fuck, with regret. Regret is the worst thing ever. And guys, here's the thing. For many of us, if this all else fails, you can always go back and get a job, right? So it's not the end of the world, but do me a favor. We're going to have to reclaim our energy, and we're going to have to stack the skills. It's the only way to get out, guys. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up here. Watch this video next. This is going to sort of play on what we're talking about here. All right, guys, catch you in the next one.